President Uhuru Kenyatta this morning left the country for The Hague in the Netherlands to attend for tomorrow's status conference of his case at the International Criminal Court. Uhuru, who temporarily handed over power to Deputy President William Ruto yesterday, was accompanied by First Lady Margaret Kenyatta, his daughter, and a few leaders. Those who boarded the plane with him included Cabinet Secretaries Michael Kamau, Charity Ngilu, and Phyllis Kandie, as well as several members of Parliament. Uhuru did not make any speech at the airport, where he arrived in 3 4-wheel drive vehicles with minimal security. Chief of Defense Forces General Julius Karangi and Police Chief David Kimayo were at the airport to see him off. However, there was little color as usually when he travels as head of state. Uhuru faces 5 counts at the ICC over his alleged role in masterminding post-election violence in 2007, 2008 that left 1,200 people dead and 600,000 displaced. He has appeared at the ICC before, but not since he was elected as president in March 2013. In The Hague, his status conference kicked off with Attorney General Githu Muigai defending government's position on the Uhuru case. AGIKUYU elders have expressed their confidence that the President Uhuru Kenyatta case will end after he appears before the International Criminal Court status conference tomorrow. The elders offered traditional prayers at the Mukurwe wa Nyaga in Muranga for the President by a senior elder, Mwangi Dhuita. The elders said the challenge facing the head of state is a national problem and urged all Kenyans to be united in prayer for him and his deputy, William Ruto. They further faulted those discouraging leaders from accompanying the head of state to The Hague.
Hawana washahidi na hawana ushahidi, na kama kesi haina mshahidi na haina washahidi, kazi ya jaji ni kufanya nini? Ni kutupa ile kesi, kutupilia nje. Kwa hivyo leo tumekuja tuombe wale wajaji wako pale watatu kule Hague waone hii ni kesi ambaye inaangamiza Mwafrika na inaangamiza maendeleo ya Mwafrika.
And from Muranga to Nandi Stadium in Eldoret Town, a different kind of prayer was held for President Uhuru Kenyatta, as it was a blend of traditional and mainstream religious groups praying not only for acquittal of the president, but also for lasting peace in the North Rift. Mercy Kandie has the details.
It can be termed as the highest appeal any Kalenjin woman can make. Sasura traditional women raise this piece of skin known as legetio, what is used traditionally to support and shield pregnancy, tied around the waist. And the prayers being made here, they say, is to ask that Uhuru Kenyatta be shielded in the same manner. It is at the Nandi Gardens in Eldoret Town at a prayer meeting attended by religious, political and local leaders, one held purposely to pray for the president before he attends a status conference at the International Criminal Court.
So, shika hapo mwisho. This is symbolic performance. Kwamba rais wetu atakuwa covered, tumempatia yeye covering.
A covering from the Kalenjin and Kikuyu Council of Elders in what is meant to protect the dignity of the president as he attends the Hague hearing.
That is to say, may he be covered by an item that cannot be penetrated by the arrows of the enemy.
Kwa sababu hii safari ilianzishwa na Mungu na Mungu lazima aikamilishe, hatuwezi kuicut short.
And we are also telling him God says he knows the plans he has for you. For I know the plans I have for you, Uhuru Kenyatta. plans to prosper you.
Tunasimama pamoja na rais wetu, tunasimama pamoja na makamu wake.
The meeting held Monday morning in Eldoret Town, one of the violent hotspots after the disputed general election of 2007, and the leaders here using the same platform to warn the residents and counsel the youth against violence.
Tuseme never again turudie tabia mbaya kama ya 2007-2008. Tuko pamoja.
The leaders called on the residents to be patient and uphold peace throughout the court process. Masikandia KTN, Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County.
Let us now cross over to The Hague, where proceedings of the first day of the two-day status conference has begun. Judges in the case against President Uhuru Kenyatta are currently listening to submissions from the Office of the Prosecution and Attorney General Githu Muigai. The Office of the Prosecutor has accused Kenya of holding out on crucial evidence, which they say could change the nature of the case. KTN's Edith Kimani joins us now from The Hague with the very latest. And as I understand, Edith, there is not such much happening outside The Hague, is there?
Well, that's absolutely right, Ian Wafula. Apart from the traffic and the very strong wind at The Hague, there's little else activity at the door of the International Criminal Court right here in The Hague. We're not seeing the usual fanfare or activity from members of parliament or government officials that we have come to associate with the International Criminal Court anytime the Deputy President William Ruto has been around. We do, however, understand that President Uhuru Kenyatta, or Mr. Kenyatta as we're referring to him now, should be making his way to Amsterdam by 3 p.m. and that's the local time here, by which time we should be able to see more members of parliament and government officials appearing from their cocoons. At the moment, however, no sight of them. Just a few of them this morning getting into the airport, but apart from that, hardly any activity from Kenyan officials. What is going on in the court, however, is of importance. Remember, today is just day one of what will be a 2-day status conference. The judges will be asking very specific questions to very specific attorneys to determine whether or not the Kenyan government is indeed cooperating with the Office of the Prosecution. Now, today, the Office of the Prosecution said that as it stands, cooperation between that office and the Kenyan government has hit a deadlock. This is the first time we're hearing them say that. Previously, they had said that, they're not cooperating. We asked the judges to intervene, but today they have actually admitted that it has hit a deadlock. Attorney General Githu Muigai, who's also present at the status conference, has pretty much said the same, but with other reasons. It reads very much like a deja vu here, Ian, with the OTP saying one thing about the Kenyan government and the Attorney General defending the Kenyan government and saying that the OTP is to blame. Now, specifically what came up, which is of interest, Judge Kuniko Ozako, who has been presiding over this case, asked the Office of the Prosecution if these things they're requesting for documents which include but are not limited to land records, phone logs, and also, as we know, bank records and tax returns. And she asked, will this make a difference in your case? Are you less speculative at the moment that these records will indeed seal your case? To which the Office of the Prosecution responded by saying that they actually don't know. What they're going by is the account of 9 persons who they say have made it very clear, abundantly clear, that opening these files would get them to hit the gold mine, as it were. But at the moment, it's still very much a back and forth, and we're expecting that the afternoon session might reveal more. But obviously, we don't know what the judges are looking for, and we have no way of telling what their conclusion is. So, all of us looking at our clocks, waiting for 3 p.m. when Mr. Kenyatta will be making his way to The Hague.
Thank you very much, Edith Kimani, for that. She will continue updating us regularly on what is happening at The Hague. Elsewhere, the Communications Authority of Kenya, CAK, now wants all media houses to focus on producing local content so as to meet their target of over 60% by the year 2018. CAK says it might be forced to impose penalties for media houses that fail to meet the target set. The regulator said that majority of television networks have sidelined people with disabilities and now want all media houses to have sign language interpreters.
Can we get 40% content by June? I think that's what I want. The other thing is, can we comply with the personal with disabilities requirement in terms of at least we begin with the news and events of national importance within the 90 days?
If you will not meet 40% local content, let me tell you, there are just two things. We will ask you to contribute more to the Universal Service Fund as a penalty, so that then we can use that money to be able to grow local content.
Commercial media basically will focus on content that will be put bread on the table, content that is able to improve their rating, content that is able to cut cost, content that is able to optimize on profit, content that makes sense in terms of commerce.
We are all looking for quality content. There is no broadcaster that will come to you and say they need a certain quality close to the original. All local broadcasters will insist on the very original and the very best.
Elsewhere, farmers in North Rift have decried the hiked prices of maize seeds. They want the government to intervene by providing subsidy of the input in order to enable farmers buy ahead of the next planting season. Speaking during a press briefing in Eldoret, the farmers said the government has not honored its promise to subsidize the input from the current price of 4,500 shillings to 3,750. Kenya Farmers Association Director Kip Korir Menjo said it is a prerogative for the government to reduce its prices in order to deter farmers from purchasing uncertified seeds. He added that the government has the mandate of availing genuine seeds to farmers in order to boost food security.
Ambaye ni ya bei nafuu na inathuru mahindi ya kutoka hapa nyumbani. Na kwa sababu ni soko huru, hatukatai, lakini wahakikisha ya kwamba mtoto wa nyumbani naye mahindi yake inanunuliwa mapema, si ile nje ingie kwa soko ama kwa store, na wasahau mtu wa nyumbani ambaye anategemea hiyo kusomesha mtoto, kufanya kazi zote, alafu tunaambia hii nje ni afadhali.
Time we begin harvesting maize, we hear that the prices have gone down. We hear that maize has come from Tanzania and Uganda and is selling now for 2,100. The farmers have met their demand and they are saying the maize must be not less than 3,000 Kenya shillings per bag of 90 kgs today.
Let us now jump ship into Somalia and the coastal city of Barawe in Somalia. That is the last stronghold of the extremist group Al-Shabaab is now fully under the control of the Somali National Army, which is supported by the African Union mission in Somalia.
The coastal town of Barawe is located 220 kilometers southwest of the capital Mogadishu. This is the first time in 23 years that its residents will experience any government presence since the collapse of central rule in 1993. During the takeover, Al-Shabaab fighters unsuccessfully tried to launch counter-attacks at Embrasa, 6 kilometers from Barawe, and also used improvised explosive devices.
This morning at 5 o'clock we advanced, and it took us only 30 minutes, actually 45 minutes to reach Barawe. We are now in Barawe, we have taken over Barawe. This specific field, the ground here, is the exact ground where Al-Shabaab used to conduct its execution. The execution of those they think we are going against the Sharia law, and it is this ground. And it is this same ground that we have decided to come and bring this population and tell the people of Barawe that Al-Shabaab is gone, is no more, and we are taking charge. The government of Somalia is taking charge. The Somali National Army has taken charge.
The capture of Barawe is a significant victory for Somalia against the besieged terrorist group that used the port to import arms, as well as receive foreign fighters into their ranks. The militants also used Barawe to export charcoal to the Middle East, a lucrative multi-million-dollar business that served as their main source of funding. The focus of the operation, which has also seen the towns of Ragail and Adale liberated, now shifts to the southern town of Jamame, about 55 kilometers north of Kismayu. Catherine Omwando, KTN.
Leaders have urged government to increase the budget for education to ensure that the girl child remains in school. The funds should go toward providing girls with basic needs such as sanitary pads so that they do not miss any day of school. That aside, the government has also been urged to employ more teachers.
Kwa miaka mingi tumeangalia kwamba nchi yetu ya Kenya watoto ambao wana ulemavu na wasichana wanatengwa katika elimu. Na sasa hivi tulikuwa zamani hata wasichana na watoto ambao wana ulemavu hawaendi shule. Tumepiga hatua moja mbele, siku hizi kuna mashule ambazo zinaitwa special schools ama special wing katika shule zetu. Kile ambacho tunahitaji kikatiba na katika sheria zetu na alafu tuweke kwenye bajeti ni pesa za kutosha, ndio tupige hatua nyingine mbele, tuwe na kitu ambacho kinaitwa inclusive schools. Kila mtoto ambaye anaishi karibu na shule fulani aweze kwenda pale, apate kuna walimu ambao wanajua kumfundisha hata akiwa na ulemavu wa aina yote, shida za macho, za kusikia, matembezi za kimwili, chochote kile. Tuweke bajeti ya kutosha, tufanye walimu wetu wapate ile ujuzi na training ya kufaa, na kila shule ikuwe child friendly na inclusive, ndio watoto wetu wote wapate haki zao.
We are now taking a short break, but when we come back, Michael Karanja will be speaking to RITA KAVASHE, who is the CEO of General Motors, on the Kenya's car market. Don't go too far.
Welcome back to KTN Newsdesk. I'm Michael Karanja. Now from matters Hague, let's literally change gears and talk about Kenya's car market. And to help me break down this industry, I'm now joined by RITA KAVASHE, who's the CEO of General Motors East Africa. Welcome, Rita.
Thank you.
Now, just looking at Kenya motor industry stats for last year, vehicle sales, new vehicle sales for 2013 grew by almost 13% to almost 14,000 new vehicle units sold. Just out of curiosity, what's driving the uptake of new cars in Kenya?
Actually, Michael, comparing 2013-2014, year-to-date sales have grown by about 32%.
Wow.
That is a major growth that has never been experienced since the 2000 time frame. Yeah. This year, the industry is just about to close at about 17,000 vehicles. That is a high number of sales.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at it, and I was really... Commercial vehicles, I think, is where people have most interest in now. So people coming for lorries, pickups, trucks, how is the interest in that particular segment?
That particular segment has actually grown by just over 63%. Quite unbelievable growth. I don't think the industry, when we were planning last year for the opportunity this year, we thought that far. But basically the growth has been driven mainly by growing SMEs. Yeah. That's a big sector that is growing. Small companies are restructuring, they are organizing, they are growing. So that's a big population of business opportunity for car dealers in this country. Construction business, that is been growing for a long time now. You're seeing road construction is going on, real estate construction is going on, and that is driving growth in the commercial segment of the product, whether it's heavy-duty trucks for haulage of stone and sand and ballast, to medium-duty truck for cement and distribution type of work. And I think also the growth of the middle class is driving quite a bit of the distribution business in this country, and therefore that is also growing. Supermarket chains that have been opening quite a bit recently because of the increased demand for services and household provision. That is also driving growth.
Right. Just looking at commercial versus personal car use, are people still more interested in second-hand cars, or are now people getting that capability of actually coming up to people like GM and saying, look, I want this car brand new from showroom floor?
Still a big population of the car market segment, which remains the biggest segment in terms of distribution. New or used, it's about 60% saloon vehicles and SUV, and 40% commercial trucks. So that still remains a big segment of the market in terms of opportunity, but that is still predominantly dominated by second-hand vehicles. Yeah. What we see coming into showroom again is mainly corporates and companies parastatal, and some of the county governments are now eyeing for new car vehicles. But still, predominantly, we still are on the second-hand side of the business in terms of opportunity. But indeed, yes, there is minimal growth in terms of users looking for new car, users looking for different type of cars. Yeah. So that tells you the middle class is growing, and there is a desire for people to differentiate themselves from what is common in the marketplace, as well as premium type of products.
Just looking at GM, we've seen a number of your competitors actually set up fully fledged, like second-hand dealer kind of operations in the market. Are you also looking into that kind of space, and just to boost the kind of sales that are actually coming back to GM?
GM as an automaker would like to promote the use of new vehicles. So in terms of our direction and our business model, we want to promote new, because there is a lot of advantage that comes to the customer when they are able to use new vehicle. One, it's life, maintenance costs are low, responsiveness to the environment, it's at a higher level vis-a-vis second-hand vehicles. So in terms of our outlook, we are pushing more for new. So we're looking at opportunities to reduce the cost of production, so that we can be able to produce vehicles, especially for emerging market where cost is a big issue. So that's where we have several plants in several parts of the world, again targeting at low cost production centers to try and reduce the cost of production, so that we can be able to attract more market opportunity, more so in emerging markets like India, like South Africa, South America, and such like markets.
Finally, just what are your projections for sales, very briefly? In terms of new cars markets, what do you think we'll close? Will really close much higher than 13% growth in 2014?
In 2014, we are looking at a growth of about over 40% in terms of General Motors business, market share of about 27%. Again, we are approaching the last quarter of this year. This is quite bullish in terms of business opportunity. This happens to be the peak season for truck buyers. Budgets have been confirmed. Money is coming out of county governments. They're looking for opportunities to be able to move and do their work. So truck, waste management trucks, ambulances, no more distribution trucks. So that's quite an opportunity that is out there.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank
that has
you.
been RITA KAVASHE, CEO of General Motors East Africa, just giving us more information about Kenya's emerging car industry and where actually people should actually focus on buying new cars. And I hand you over back to Ian Wafula.
And that marks the end of our bulletin this afternoon. Let's do this same time again tomorrow. Do have yourself a lovely afternoon. My name is Ian Wafula.